What if I told you that by the end of this video, you might start looking at your favorite celebrities and wondering if you ever really knew what they looked like in the first place? Because this isn't just about glow-ups or better lighting or a new skincare routine. This is about faces you've seen for years, quietly changing in ways that make you pause, rewind, and ask yourself, wait, when did that happen? And trust me, we're not jumping straight into the most obvious transformations. The real story unfolds slowly, detail by detail, just like it did in real life. At some point, Hollywood stopped aging and started buffering. Somewhere between just a little Botox and who is that and where did their cheekbones come from, the red carpet became less of a celebration and more of a live demonstration for the latest cosmetic upgrade. Jawlines don't gradually sharpen anymore, they switch on overnight. Eyes don't just age, they widen, like someone quietly adjusted a setting behind the scenes. Skin doesn't wrinkle, it smooths out like a high-speed connection finally stabilizing. And the strangest part? None of this feels shocking anymore. It feels scheduled, like routine maintenance. The real twist now is that the boldest move a celebrity can make is keeping the face they were born with. Take Dakota Johnson. For years, she had that kind of beauty that didn't try too hard. Not the intimidating, perfectly sculpted Hollywood look, but something softer, more relatable. She looked like someone you could actually know. Slightly wider forehead, a gentle jawline, and that small gap between her teeth that somehow made her more memorable, not less. It was real. It was human. Then, slowly, things began to shift. Not in a dramatic, overnight way where people immediately point and say something's different. It was gradual enough that you almost didn't notice until you compared photos from years apart. Suddenly, it felt like looking at two versions of the same person, like an early draft and a refined update. Her bangs played a bigger role than people give credit for. Fuller, longer, perfectly placed, they reframed her entire face. Her forehead looked more balanced, her features more symmetrical. It was a reminder that sometimes styling alone can create the illusion of transformation. Then the tooth gap quietly disappeared. The explanation? Removing a retainer. Simple, believable, convenient. But the real shift shows in profile. Her jawline appears more defined, her chin slightly more projected, and the area beneath it tighter, smoother, almost untouched by time. Her nose tip seems subtly lifted, not drastically reshaped, just refined enough to change how light hits it. Even her under-eye area, once softly puffy in a way that felt youthful and authentic, now looks flatter and more polished. Individually, none of these changes scream transformation, but together they create a different energy. She still looks like Dakota, just upgraded. And that's what makes it so fascinating. She didn't erase her identity, she enhanced it. In her mid-30s, she's now considered more striking than she was in her 20s, which in Hollywood almost feels unnatural. Then there's Miley Cyrus, whose evolution has always been loud, visible, and impossible to ignore. From her Disney beginnings to her rebellious reinvention, change has always been part of her identity. But recently, the shift feels less about style and more about structure. Looking at photos from just a few years ago compared to now, her eyes appear more open. That slightly heavy upper lid that once gave her a relaxed, almost sleepy expression seems lifted, revealing more lid space and creating a sharper, more intense gaze. It's subtle, but it changes how her face communicates even when she's not speaking. Her nose looks more refined, slimmer at the tip. Again, not dramatically different, just streamlined. Her cheeks appear leaner, removing some of the roundness that once made her look youthful and approachable. And her smile, something as simple as veneers, has shifted over time too. At one point, they seemed slightly oversized, altering the balance of her face. More recently, they look adjusted, closer to what fans remember. What makes Miley's case unique is that her entire life has been documented in high definition. Every phase, every era, every tiny change is archived. So even the smallest tweaks don't go unnoticed. And the reaction? Mixed. Some people love the refinement, others miss the softness. But Miley has never been someone who aims to please everyone. Now, shift to Erin Moriarty, and the conversation takes a different tone entirely. Because when someone is known specifically for looking natural, any perceived change feels amplified. As Starlight in The Boys, she had that approachable, girl-next-door look. Nothing overly polished, nothing artificial, just expressive eyes and soft features that felt real. For years, her appearance stayed consistent, familiar. Then suddenly, the internet noticed something different. A single photo sparked an avalanche of commentary. Her forehead looked smoother, her nose more refined, her eyes more open, her lips fuller. Each change was subtle, but together they created a slightly different impression. What followed was intense. Side-by-side comparisons flooded social media, words like unrecognizable started appearing, and that's the strange reality of modern fame. Your face becomes something people analyze like evidence, frame by frame, pixel by pixel. She eventually addressed the noise and stepped back, but the conversation didn't stop, it just moved elsewhere. Because once people start questioning what changed, the focus isn't just on appearance anymore, it becomes about identity. Selena Gomez exists in an entirely different category of complexity. Her appearance has never just been about aesthetics, it's been tied to her health. Living with lupus means dealing with inflammation, swelling, and fluctuations that are often out of her control. So when her face changes, the conversation instantly becomes layered. Is it medication? Is it timing? Or is it something else entirely? In recent appearances, some people have noticed a slimmer cheek area, a more sculpted mid-face, and subtle changes around the eyes and lips. Individually, these are small details, but together they create a slightly different silhouette. The challenge is that any discussion around her appearance feels loaded. Fans defend her, critics speculate, but the truth likely sits somewhere in between. Living under constant scrutiny changes how you see yourself. When every photo becomes a topic of debate, it's almost impossible not to become hyper-aware of every detail. Emily Blunt's transformation feels quieter, but equally intriguing. For years, she wasn't part of these conversations at all. Her beauty was understated, natural, almost untouched by the usual Hollywood speculation. Then, gradually, things shifted. Her mid-face appeared fuller, especially around the cheeks. The transition between cheek and temple looked smoother, more padded. When she smiled, there was a subtle bunching effect that hadn't been there before. At the same time, her jawline looked sharper, her neck more defined. The combination creates a contrast, more volume in one area, more structure in another. And that's where it gets interesting. Because when those elements don't move naturally together, the face can start to feel curated rather than organic. Brad Pitt's case feels almost surreal. For decades, he was the standard, the reference point. So when signs of aging began to appear, it felt grounding. Even icons age. And then, suddenly, he looked refreshed. Not drastically different, just undeniably tighter, smoother, more lifted. The kind of change that makes you question whether time briefly reversed direction. What's fascinating is the reaction. Instead of criticism, there was admiration. People didn't ask what happened, they asked what worked. Maybe that's the difference. Subtlety, restraint, enhancement without erasing identity. Anya Taylor-Joy represents something else entirely. The shift from uniqueness to uniformity. When she first rose to fame, her look was striking because it was different. Wide-set eyes, soft cheeks, an almost doll-like quality that didn't fit the typical mold. Now, her face appears slimmer, more sculpted. The softness has been reduced, replaced with sharper contours. It aligns more with current beauty trends, but at the cost of what made her stand out in the first place. Taylor Swift's transformation is even more subtle. It's not about changing features, it's about preserving them. Slightly fuller cheeks, smoother skin, a gently elevated brow. Nothing dramatic, just incremental adjustments that maintain a certain version of her over time. Ryan Gosling, once defined by his rugged, slightly hollowed features, now appears more polished. Fuller cheeks, smoother skin, less shadow. It's a softer, more camera-ready version of the same face. Eva Mendes shows what happens when maintenance becomes routine. Fuller, smoother, more uniform. Still glamorous, but with less contrast than before. The sharpness that once defined her has softened into something more controlled. Emma Stone's change centers around her eyes, one of the most defining features of any face. Slightly higher brows, more visible lid space. It opens her gaze but alters the softness that once made it so distinctive. Kris Jenner takes things further than most. Her transformation doesn't whisper, it announces itself. Sharper jawline, tighter skin, a complete reset that reflects a different philosophy entirely. Not maintenance, but reinvention. Bradley Cooper's shift is subtle but impactful. Cleaner structure, more open eyes. But in losing some of that natural heaviness, some fans feel he's lost a layer of depth that once made his face so expressive. David Beckham shows that even men aren't exempt anymore. Fuller cheeks, smoother skin, subtle adjustments that soften his once sharply defined structure. Mandy Moore's change feels tied to both natural factors and possible refinement. Less facial volume, more visible structure, a shift that alters the warmth people associated with her. And when you step back and look at all this together, a pattern starts to emerge. None of these transformations are extreme on their own. In fact, most are barely noticeable in isolation, but stacked over time, they create something different. Not new faces, not completely different people, just edited versions. And maybe that's where things get complicated. Because in a world where every detail is visible, every angle analyzed, and every photo compared, the line between natural and curated starts to blur. The question isn't just who changed, it's when did this become the expectation?